So after March 11th, the vast majority of businesses and public spaces will be free of a mask mandate, and that includes our schools.
Well, you heard it right there. The date for Washington's mask mandate to come to an end has now been moved up. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on KREM 2 News First at 4. I'm Tom Sherry.
It's good to have you here. I'm Whitney Ward. Governor Jay Inslee made that announcement earlier today following talks with his counterparts in California and Oregon. Mark Hanrahan is live here in the studio joining us tonight with what you need to know about these changes. Hi, Mark.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. A new week, a new announcement on masks, but here's what you need to know. Take a look at this graphic behind me. So in less than 2 weeks now, you'll no longer need to wear a mask in places like schools, grocery stores, and restaurants. Here's a closer look at that graphic at where masks will no longer be required and where that mandate will remain in place. So in most cases, they'll no longer be required, but that mandate will remain in place for places like healthcare settings and other places as well. Again, this is all effective on March 1st. So 2 weeks ago, Governor Inslee announced that he'd be dropping the mask mandate on March 21st. At the time, he said while hospitalizations were still high, he was confident that by the 21st, rates would be at a much more manageable rate. Well, then on Friday, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced new mask guidance saying that only counties with high transmission levels should continue to wear masks inside in most places. That essentially eased mask recommendations for more than 70% of Americans. So over the weekend, health leaders from Washington, California, and Oregon discussed the latest data and federal recommendations. And as a result, California is dropping its mask mandate tomorrow. Washington and Oregon will drop theirs on the 12th.
Well, I would not make this decision if I didn't believe it was safe for the state of Washington, reasonably safe, given all the things concerned. The low infection rate, the declining hospitalization rate, the universal, almost universal access to vaccine, the increasing ability to have treatments after infection, the continuing ability to wear masks if people want to use them, which we are going to protect. All of those things, I believe that this is a reasonably safe thing to do, and I wouldn't do it otherwise.
At today's COVID briefing, health officials pointed out that while the statewide mask mandate is ending on the 12th, private businesses and local governments can continue to require indoor masking if they choose to do so.
As the state lifts our statewide requirements, local health jurisdictions, local health officers, and businesses have the right to enact their own policies related to masks as they see fit.
All right, a big question now locally. What about schools? I spoke with the spokesperson for Spokane Public Schools just about 30 minutes ago. She said the district is consulting with state health officials right now, but right now they plan on following the state guidance. So more to come from the district on specifics when it comes to this one. And while the mandate is coming down for the state, local governments, as we mentioned, and businesses will be able to choose their own masking rules. KREM 2's Janelle Finch joining us live now to explain why you will still need to mask up in some places. Janelle?
While some businesses are looking forward to the state lifting the mask mandate, other industries will have to stay with masks because of other rules that are in place. For the First Interstate Center, its operations will not be changing very much despite the mask mandate being lifted March 12th. According to the Spokane Public Facilities District Director of Entertainment, Broadway shows will still require audience members to mask up. This includes those planning on attending Wicked, coming to Spokane March 9th. Artists and acts on tour will determine the mask rules for the First Interstate Center and Spokane Arena.
It's nothing that West Coast Entertainment or the venue is putting down, but it's associated to keeping the touring act safe and allowing them to continue to tour through all of this.
Restaurants say they're looking forward to the mask mandate coming down. Right now at Doherty's, employees are required to keep masks on when moving around the restaurant. Management says they were happy with the original mask expiration date on March 21st, and now they say they're even more excited for their, quote, light at the end of the tunnel coming sooner. At 5, I'll have more from that restaurant manager and other community reactions. In the newsroom, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
All right, Janelle, thank you. And today, students and staff in the Kettle Falls and Colville school districts had to put their masks back on. Just last week, both school boards decided the financial cost of taking off those masks before the state's mask mandate expired was just too high. The superintendent of Colville, who chose to resign last week, estimated the minimum fine potential at $100,000 per day for each violation. The maximum could be over $10 million. All right, a very soggy day here across the inland Northwest, though. The good news is the rain is melting all of the snow that's been kind of sitting around, so it sounds like it's going to be kind of a soggy week.
It is going to be a soggy week. We're beginning to see rivers rising now, and we've got some really warm temperatures headed our way. We don't want to melt that snow in the mountains, but some of that mid-elevation snow is getting melted right now. 49 degrees. The rain has stopped at least right now, but we're going to get plenty more of that headed our way. And again, temperature of almost 50 degrees. You can see the showers have mostly moved to the east of us. We are still seeing snow at some of the higher elevations along the Idaho, Canadian border, as well as over western Montana and Idaho. But it's rain, rain, rain everywhere else. You see shaded in greens, and the yellows indicate very heavy rainfall. So here's a closer view. Again, the rain moved out of Spokane. Still some showers around the area, though. We'll look for an overnight low. Get this, the overnight low is 42 degrees. That's normally our daytime high. And tomorrow, I'm looking for mostly cloudy skies, more rain developing around 9 o'clock on Tuesday, and a daytime high of 55. Looking ahead to the weekend, dry weather. Overnight lows getting down below freezing. That's a good thing to stabilize that snowpack in the mountains, and we'll look for highs in the mid-40s. I'll check the rest of your work week weather coming up in a few minutes.
Tom, thank you very much. A breaking news update for you tonight. 2 14-year-olds have now been arrested on first-degree murder charges. The 2 Lewiston teens are accused of shooting an adult man and a young girl last night. According to police, those teens made plans to shoot and kill those victims. Both suspects have been charged as adults. The victims did survive, but police say they received serious and life-threatening injuries. We'll bring you more details as they become available.
The murder trial for the man accused of shooting his ex-wife in Brown's Addition, that happened 2 years ago, is nearing the end. Nathan Beal now is charged with first-degree murder, and this afternoon attorneys rested their case and presented final arguments to the jury. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley has been following the case from the beginning. She joins us now live. Amanda.
Well, the prosecutor and defense attorney had their final chance to convince the jury that Nathan Beal is either innocent or guilty of murdering his ex-wife, Mary Schaefer, in August of 2020. Now, we know from Spokane County Court documents that Mary Schaefer flew to Spokane from Oregon to pick up the 2 children that she shares with Beal. She was concerned for her safety going to Beal's home, which is why she texted constant updates to her boyfriend. Those texts stopped after she arrived at Beal's apartment. Spokane police later found Mary slumped over in her rental car with a gunshot wound to her head. Investigators found a gun in Beal's closet, and it matched the weapon that killed Mary. Now, in closing arguments this afternoon, the defense insisted Beal is not guilty of murder because the prosecutor's theory has holes, and some of the evidence doesn't 100% identify him as the killer. But the prosecutor argues the evidence does prove he is guilty, especially considering investigators found the murder weapon in his apartment. Now, the jury is now in deliberations. They have been for the past hour. They must unanimously decide whether Beal is guilty or innocent of first-degree premeditated murder. We, of course, will keep you updated on when they have reached a verdict. Reporting from the Spokane County Courthouse, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
The intersection of Freya and 17th will be closed for a few days as crews fix a water main break in the area. Crews temporarily welded a patch to stop the flooding in the area, and then tomorrow they're going to start digging to finish the repair. The only intersection affected is Freya and 17th. It's expected to be reopened in just about 2 or 3 days.
Well, Spokane police officers are raising some concerns about some of the force's new patrol cars. SPD is currently testing out 2 Tesla Model Y patrol units, and so far they are not being well received. Officers have complained, actually, that the cars are too small for police work. The laptop mounted in the passenger seat, they say, takes up legroom and blocks controls on the dashboard. This comes as the department is working to replace its existing fleet of patrol vehicles. Coming up tonight at 6 on KREM 2 News, we'll hear from officers as well as City Council's president about what's next for the police force.
The Spokane City Council is going to be voting tonight on giving more money to the redevelopment of the former Hilliard Library. The council will vote on putting $500,000 toward redeveloping that library into a new behavioral health clinic. The money would help move the project closer to completion. Total cost for this project is $1.6 million, with Multicare and the Northeast Community Center both also giving money for the project. Those two groups will both requested that $500,000 from the city. This is all to help bridge a funding gap, they say. According to the resolution, the clinic would provide 34,000 therapy visits a year through telehealth and in-person appointments. The resolution also says the clinic is estimated to create 40 to 50 new jobs.
Also, the council will be voting on an emergency ordinance tonight regarding zoning changes for historic properties. That ordinance would change language in the city's historic property reuse rules. Those changes are basically to clarify that reuse standards apply to an entire property on Spokane's historical register instead of just a single building in those properties. It would also make it so buildings on the National Historic Building Register won't qualify for those reuse permits. All right, we're very sad to say it is Tom's final week here at KREM 2 News with more than 30 years of service and stories. Coming up after the break, we're taking a look back at all the smiles we got from Tom and his trusty partner, Doppler. As we say thank you, Tom Sherry, all this week. We're back right after the break.